Welcome. In front of me I have a Samsung Galaxy Tab 7 or S7 Plus, and today I will go over unboxing along with, well, a quick overview of it. So I just pop it up, open. Now it's already cut, so I don't have to. There we go. Nothing on the top side. We get a tablet itself. Now this thing seems really thin, actually, like unnaturally thin almost. Just put it to the side for now. Here we got a stylus. Seems really light, almost plasticky. Then we got a charger. Now let's see. So the charger is it looks like it is 10-watt charger. My disappointment here is, well, high. Now, even though you get the almost absolute trash charger that you could possibly get for a super premium device, the tablet itself is actually capable of charging at apparently 45 watts. So this absolute piece of garbage doesn't have place in the box here. You might as well not even include it. This is almost offensive. So yeah, now apart from that, we get a SIM eject tool, paperwork, so no one cares about that one. And obviously we do have a charging cable right here. So it looks like Type C to Type A. Again, Samsung actually started including a little bit better accessories with their newer devices, but apparently the S7 Plus is not one of them. Let me quickly check. This was released in August 2020, so honestly I don't really see a reason why, for instance, the charger isn't a 25-watt charger, because it's the absolute garbage that they include with their most premium lineup. And also the charger is Type C to Type C. This is not. So honestly, for something that I assume in terms of tablet specs supposed to be the absolute best, this is not providing me with the absolute best experience at this moment, honestly. Okay, so now, apart from the absolute offensive additions to the device itself, like the charger and the cable, we do actually have a fairly decent tablet, I would say. So, oops, I already managed to get some fingerprints on it. And now, as you can see, this is actually really big. And just as a comparison, here is a phone. So this is, what is it, like 6 something inch display, and this is the Huawei Mate 20. So you can see that this is dwarfed by the tablet. So the Plus one is actually an absolute plus in terms of that one. Now let's find the power key. And also, as you can see, in terms of the design wise, it does have fairly sharp edges. It is really, like, I would say it looks really premium. Not sure how that will actually feel to hold this for extended time, because the corners are quite jagged, so they are sharp, as you can see. But ooh, gosh, that display here is amazing, actually. Does this do anything? No, yeah, it does. Okay, so right off the bat, the display right here is one of the probably things that jump out at me just straight out. It looks outstanding. And just to put that out there, this is a 12.4 inch display. The resolution of it is a little bit wonky. It's a 1752 by 1800. So it's not necessarily 2K, but it's also not full HD. It's something like in between. So actually no, this actually is above 2K, my bad, because 2K is, I believe, like what, 1440p. This is 1752. So this is a okay display. Now the pixel density is actually one of the lowest ones that I've seen in a while, but this is just the sheer actual size of this. Now on the camera this might not look like it is super big. It looks kind of, actually on the camera looking at it, it looks a little bit small, but if I put my hand next to it, like you can clearly see that this is not like a small tablet. So on the camera it will look a little bit smaller than it actually is, but this is, I would say, a unit here. Now there's a couple additional things in the display right here, apart from the size and how actually nice it looks like. So it is a Super AMOLED display with a 120 Hz refresh rate. So you will get these buttery smooth animations, transitions, like anything you do on here will be super silky smooth. I believe by default it is something like adaptive refresh rate or something like that. I'm gonna quickly check. Motion smoothness, high. Actually no, it is set to just be high. Now personally I would prefer to have it adaptive, because that would also save the battery a little bit, so that would force you to charge the device less often. Because the higher the refresh rate is, the more battery needs to be used. I mean, a lot of components are basically being stressed a little bit higher, and that will cause you to drain the battery a little bit quicker. So if you don't really mind the little bit lesser experience in terms of how smooth it is, which you can see the comparison like video right here, then you could probably drop it to standard and well, have lower refresh rate, but then longer battery life. Now also on top of that, with that AMOLED display, it is an HDR10 Plus certified display. It is an AMOLED display, so that's why. And it has 84.6% screen to body ratio. The bezels on the camera might look a little bit bigger than they actually will look in person. I think it's just the perspective of the camera. These bezels are fairly minimal, especially for a tablet. And apart from that, we have 266 pixels per inch. Now this will be the last spec of the display. And honestly, all that jargon about the display, at the end of the day, this display looks gorgeous. I was actually surprised by it. Now Samsung does majority of the time have a really nice displays, but this one actually I wasn't expecting it to look this nice. I don't know if it's just the sheer size of it that makes it look so good or what else, but it looks fantastic. So moving out of the display, which I am really nicely surprised, we can move on to the cameras. So at the front we have a single 8 megapixel wide sensor, as you can barely see that little dot right over here. So this allows you to shoot at 1080p 30 frames, so I'm not even gonna go into it really. Maybe I'll just like turn it on just so you can see it a little bit. But if we let me lock it up and flip it over, and there we go. Now on the back we have two additional cameras, and by me holding it like that, I just literally added significantly more fingerprints to it. As you can see, this is a absolute fingerprint magnet. It doesn't help that the display is actually so big. So at the back we do have two cameras, so we have a 13 megapixel wide and 5 megapixel ultra wide. Now honestly, with the 5 megapixel I don't expect much. I honestly don't really like the inclusion of 5 megapixel wide sensors. They usually come a little bit grainy and pixelated, especially when you like try to look up close at something. So just stick with probably 13 megapixel probably isn't enough to provide a decent quality experience as well. I mean, let's be honest, you're probably not going to be capturing I don't know, outside photos and going around trying to look professional with a tablet with a 12.5-inch display. This would look a little bit too ridiculous when you're trying to, like, you know, look professional with something like this and just fiddling with it, trying to, you know, get all the settings correct. So yeah, this is more for, like, I would assume conference calling and stuff like that. Otherwise you would look ridiculous trying to capture photos outside. So let me actually launch the camera, which is right over here. And Jesus, this display is massive. It's actually just ridiculously massive. Okay, let's try to get a okay photo here. I am blocking a little bit of the light, as you can see, in the shadow. The light is like right here, basically. If I can see it right, reflecting right now. Okay, let's try to do something here. So this is the photo. Let me quickly also go to ultra wide. Okay, disregard the mess that is literally on this desk right here. See what we got under more. So we have AR Doodle. Oh, I know what that is. This is actually a kind of interesting thing, but it looks like I need to download it, so I'm not gonna go over it. And basically what it allows you to do is whatever the camera sees, you can kind of draw in 3D on top of it. And it's a gimmick, but it's kind of fun sometimes. Okay, what else we got here? We got a night mode, which that is nice. Portrait, video, pro, hyperlapse. I would say that's also nice, but I wouldn't be really sticking that on a tripod outside to try to capture hyperlapses. So the size of it makes it a little bit unreasonable here. Let me just maybe put it down so you can see this better. There we go. Now it does basically make the display black. That is covered right now. But yeah, we have portrait, video. I've never used this one. So we got portrait video, portrait, pro video, hyperlapse, night mode, pro, just for the photos, the AR Doodle, whatever, food and panorama. So just the typical things, apart from maybe like the portrait video. Would be really interested. Maybe I'll check it out later how the portrait video actually works when I have someone to do it with. But yeah, now let's also go back and flip the camera right here. There we go. So I'm trying to capture just my selfie right here, I guess. Yeah, so there we go, there's the selfie, and honestly it looks okay. I can't really complain about it, especially it's not highest quality. Obviously you can probably see the stupid amount of graininess to this photo, but what it did right is the control of the light. It doesn't really, it did it correctly, I would say. So my face isn't like overly dark. This light is in front of my face actually, so it is the first thing that hits the device. And then I was kind of like further away from it. So I would say that the shadows are really well controlled. As you can see, it looks okay. It's serviceable, I would say. If you're trying to use this for like conference calling and stuff like that, you will get probably better quality than people that are using like this trash webcams on their laptops. This is a okay camera right here. It does a fairly decent job. Now going back to the back sensors, also in terms of like the video recording, we can record at 4K at 30 frames, so not 60, but still at least you can record at 30. And now moving on to the last specs of this device, it's going to be just the pure internals right here. So we do have a Snapdragon 865 Plus. We have a couple different variants of this device also. So if you go for basically the cheapest model right here, you will have 128 gigabytes storage built in and 6 gigabytes RAM. But if you want to upgrade it, you will upgrade it by storage and RAM. So the second option and third is both will have 8 gigabytes RAM, and you will have the 256 gigabyte storage or 512 gigabyte storage, both with 8 gigs, like I said. And also on top of that, we do have a whopping 10,090 milliamp hour battery. Now honestly, this is a absolute unit of a battery, which is a shame that they included you a 10-watt charger. Like this is just this garbage. Just find the nearest trash can and throw it in there. This is trash. So, if you have a better charger from, I don't know, an actual manufacturer, device manufacturer that provides you with decent chargers, like an example, I have Huawei here, which is a, 3-year-old device that still has better charger in the box than literally any Samsung has included in the box. And this is saying included because they stopped doing that now. So, get, I don't know, an actual respectable brand that decides to not screw over their customers and get that charger and charge this device with it, because this will take you ages to charge the 10,000 milliamp hour battery. But apart from that, the actual device itself, I would say, is really nice. Just the charger that they include, it just feels offensive to me. That for a device that costs, probably over $1,000, I assume. Let me quickly check because I actually haven't looked at it. So, Galaxy Tab 7 Plus. Let's see, how much does it cost? Yep, so the cheapest one is about $1,000. Now, give or take, I'm looking at a Polish pricing, which is with tax included. So in US, if you're buying this in US, you probably will see a price tag without the tax. So it will be a little bit lower than $1,000, but still, at the end of the day, it's basically a grand for this tablet, which adds salt to injury for this charger. So if we actually throw that charger out, and honestly, I probably wouldn't mind not seeing it at all. I wouldn't be then focused so much on the garbage that got included. So if we subtract that charger, the device itself, looking at it, just specifically the device itself, it is really nice. And probably the closest comparison you can make to it is with Apple tablets, right? The iPads. So the iPads, I believe, are priced really closely to this. I think they cost a little bit over $1,000. But one thing that is different there, they don't come with this. They do not include a pencil. Here you do have it. And it is nice that they include it. I would also like to see a little bit of a better implementation of it. So instead of having it in the back, like it snaps right here somehow. Let me just maybe flip it over. Oh, there we go. Bam. As you can see, it does hold fairly nicely here. It's not like flimsy. It is holding quite well. But it being on the back just makes it look a little bit wonky. And so I guess you can use it to prop up the device a little bit. As you can see, it just elevates a little bit, but honestly, I don't really see a point for it. That's just my personal opinion. I would much rather have it on the side, like for instance right here, clip it, where it just doesn't really protrude out of the device. Now, given there is also another protrusion on the back, which is the camera bump, so in any case, you will always have something that is making the device not lay completely flush with the surface that you lay it on. So that is a little bit of a downside. But other than that, the device is really nice. Now, I probably wouldn't be trying to bend it because it is a little bit thin, on a thin side, honestly. Like, let me just compare it to, it is in a case, but as you can see, it is, let me just maybe put it right up here. Let's get it out of the casing. So this is a Mate 20 Pro, and you can see that it is actually looking a little bit thicker than the tablet itself, which at this size, if you try to bend it, you will most certainly break it in half. So probably don't do a jerry rig on it. But yeah, apart from that, it is a outstanding device. The screen itself is just something to look at itself, and 120 Hz adds to the experience. Obviously, you can use the pen. It has additional, like, all kinds of stuff, like the pressure sensitivities and stuff like that. Let's see what I can. Oh, it's kind of like this. Now it does have a little bit of a weird sound to it, like it's supposed to mimic the pencil. Let me just find the speaker. So here, let me put that close to the speaker. Is there like a way to make it louder? Nope. Okay, so the loudness is basically the same. It doesn't change with the actual volume of the device, but yeah, there is a little bit of a scratching noise to it. Now, honestly, in terms of the pen itself, when I tried this on the S7 and even the S6 tabs, I had a little bit of a problem where if you draw really closely, like the super fine like distance, it kind of just doesn't distinguish the entire movement. Where, especially in the Adobe applications, I had a bit of a problem with Adobe. I don't know if that was the actual fault of Adobe Draw and Sketch, or if it was just the actual sensitivity in the pen fault. But basically, sometimes when you just do this, as an example, it would mistake the actual pressure and just make a huge blob because it thought that you were just like literally smashing. I think the device was basically thinking that you're trying to punch it with the pen, making the actual like dot, not a dot, but an entire blob of blackness, and it was a little bit annoying. But here I don't really see that like on the built-in draw up that comes with the tablet itself. So something tells me that it's just something to do with the actual Adobe itself, because right here it works fairly fine. It still has that problem where you're trying to do like really fine movements, where it just let me just kind of draw it a little bit bigger. So basically when you try to do fine movements, it just kind of, no matter what the movement is, as long as it's small enough, it will kind of make it constantly at the same width, right? Till the point that you reach that it actually determines that you're trying to make bigger movements, and it just kind of then spreads out and calculates that movement. So you can see it right here as an example, maybe. So you can see this part right here is basically the same size, even though I started really fine and started moving it outwards. It didn't really realize that till this point where it started making it bigger. And I don't know if, I guess that is just Samsung's way of somehow like making the pen work. I'm not exactly sure. Haven't actually tested the iPad Pro if it has the same problem. Because the moment I did have an iPad, I didn't actually have the pen for it, so yeah. But other than that, if you can manage with just this fine little problem that it has, the device for just strictly drawing is a really good device, and I cannot complain it. Honestly, I wouldn't mind having it, and this battery right here is just outstanding. 10,000 milliamps on the tablet that is this thick. It's a outstanding thing. So yeah, honestly, at the end of the day, I would say this is a really nice tablet, and it is still competitively priced compared to an iPad, because it does come with a pen that doesn't cost $100. So yeah, at the end of the day, if we just take in consideration just this and not this, the tablet is outstanding. I don't really have any problems. It is competitively priced to iPads. I think it's even actually cheaper than an iPad, which makes it a really good alternative if you're looking for something that isn't getting you stuck in the Apple ecosystem, and also comes with majority of the accessories that you would need, given they're not the best at times. But for instance, the pen and the actual display right here are just phenomenal, and just these alone make the device worth purchasing. So that being said, if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.